lots of puddles, a rubber ball, and one happy monkey. The perfect recipe for fun on a rainy day in the country. George had lost his ball, but he had found something he'd never noticed before. A cave. George didn't know much about caves, but he knew one thing about being in the dark. You can't really see anything. How would he find the ball now?
I've got that. Oh, hey, George. You want to help me bake my famous banana walnut cake? Oh.
George invited Jumpy Squirrel to help him find the ball in the cave. That squirrel didn't know what he was missing by being so jumpy. The cave was like a new playground for George. With just a flashlight, he could bring shadows to life. And turn himself into a fearless giant. Suddenly, the cave seemed very different. For the very first time, George was truly afraid of the dark. In the safety of his room, George was happy. He knew he never had to go back to that spooky cave again.
Good night, George. George, is that you? Huh. I guess I forgot to turn off the lights. Did I forget to turn off all of these lights too? Huh. Ugh. 'Cause 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 'C
George always liked the sights and sounds of the countryside. The tastes of the countryside were pretty good too, especially the taste of the Rinkins' homemade honey.
You ready to sample this year's first batch of honey, George?
I packed some homemade bread in here to go with your honey. Enjoy!
If there was anything George liked more than sweet honey, it was eating it with freshly baked bread. But this bee wouldn't let him enjoy his snack. Now, where did it hurry off to? What could be more interesting than bread and honey? George wondered how a flower could move when there was no wind. Touching all the flowers was definitely not as interesting as a bread and honey sandwich. Who'd be mean enough to take a monkey's snack? A bear. George had never seen a real live bear wandering around here before. The bee came back. It must have wanted to be friends.
Well, that bee thought you were trying to hurt it, George. Bees sting to protect themselves. Now, just keep ice on that finger for a while and you'll be fine. You want cereal again? You just had it for breakfast. No, George, a bee stung you. A bear didn't bite you. Besides, no one's seen a bear in these woods in over 20 years.
But George was positive he'd seen a real bear.
Hey there, George.
Bill always seemed to know everything. Maybe he'd know about the bear.
Pretty good imitation, George. Did you know no one's seen a bear around here in over 30 years?
George left those bees alone. Why couldn't they leave him alone?
That's just a honeybee, George. Hey, they're going toward my yard. Wow, when did they build that? I gotta get those bees to leave. I don't want them to hurt my bunnies. George? George?
It's a beautiful day, George. Why aren't you outside? Come on, help me water the snapdragons. They're in bloom, see? Afraid of getting stung again, huh? I have to go to the Rankin's place. Maybe you should come along. I bet they can help you.
There were only two things that could get George to take a bath: Bubbles and Sproingy, the most awe-inspiring toy frog that ever lived. and the best bubble maker George ever met. A bath just wouldn't be a bath without them.
I wonder what this belongs to. Oh, George! I found your lost boat. In the freezer. You know, George, if you were a little more careful with your toys, you wouldn't lose so many of them. You almost ready to go to the park? Hey, aren't you glad we found your boat, George? George?
Sharky wanted to play in the mud, too.
Hey, George! What do you say we go home and grab some lunch? Maybe you should try and clean up a little bit before we go. We could be here all day doing this. You can clean up at home, George. Okay, George, lunch is ready. George, you have to get cleaned up before you can eat. Just take a quick bath. I'll wait.
There were only two things that could get George to take a bath. Bubbles and Springy the Frog. George wondered where he could be.
George? George, what is taking so long? You can clean your room later, after you clean yourself, and after we eat lunch. Hop in. Oh, I get it. You want to be launched like a new ship, huh? All right, here we go. Into the sea. You're tickling me. Look, I know you took a bath already this morning, but you're muddy, George. No. Hey, look at all the fun bubbles. See?
There was no way George could take a bath without Springy, who had to be around here somewhere.
George?
And there was no way George was going to admit he lost another toy. Who had to be here somewhere.
George! George!
Just as the early bird catches the worm, so does the early monkey catch the, fish.
Bye-bye!
All fishermen have tales of their adventures, but George was going to take pictures.
Oh, you look like a regular first mate, George. Got your camera? Today starts my annual inventory of every living thing in Lake Wanasink Lake. And you're official photographer. I find them, you take their picture. George, a 10-inch rainbow trout. Get a picture and I'll turn her loose. We always let him go back home. Yeah, oh boy, oh, it's a big one. Get that camera ready. Oh boy. Well, this we don't throw back. But if we find the rest of the orchestra, we're gonna need a bigger boat. Well, we did a good day's work, George. You never know what'll wash down here after a big rain. Oh! Well, we'll get that tomorrow. Oh, what have you got there? An American eel. I've never seen one here before. You've got to get his picture. That is rare. He must have wandered in while heading downriver on his way to the ocean. You can get his picture tomorrow, and then we'll make sure he gets where he needs to go.
The next morning, George headed out early, determined to catch a picture of that rare eel.
Oh, sorry, George. A whale's lost her way down where the river meets the sea, and I'm going to help. Well, we'll look for that eel tomorrow.
Hey, George. Did Mr. Quint say you guys saw an eel? In this lake? Eels never come to this lake. I'm gonna catch it and take it home. You wanted to be the one to catch it, huh? Okay, it's a contest. I'll go get my equipment.
George couldn't let Bill catch that poor lost eel and take it home. He had to catch it first. With Mr. Quint and all of his equipment gone, George had to find his own fishing pole. Fast. This fishing pole was too slippery. It was a nice summer morning, so George was walking the man with the yellow hat to the subway.
Sorry I'm walking so fast, George, but I can't be late. George?
Well, he was when they started. But George had seen something so amazing, he had to stop.
Oh, there you are. Did you see a toy you want? You already have a dinosaur just like that. You want an oven?
George never had a toy that could make cake. Sweet, delicious cake.
I'm sorry, George. That's expensive, and I just bought you an expensive toy last week. George, can we please talk about this later? I'm late for work. Sorry, George, but I can't buy every toy you see. Be a good little monkey.
If the man with the yellow hat couldn't buy it, George would have to buy it himself. All he needed was to get a job and start earning money. But Mr. Glass didn't need a window washer today. Chef Biscotti didn't need a dish dryer. It was one of those days when nobody needed a monkey's help.
The new summer display is really gonna attract customers, Dad. The palm tree goes there, beach balls on the wall, and Hawaiian lays everywhere.
I like it. Good work, son.
It'll take me a few hours to pick up everything. We'll set it up when I get back.
I could use 2 more hands while you're gone.
If you had 2 more hands, you'd be like George.
I only wish I could get an employee with 4 hands.
An employee with 4 hands? Here was someone who really needed a monkey. The grocer would be so happy with monkey help, George would probably earn that whole oven in one day.
Hey, do you work here? Perfect. I need to choose bananas. Could you help me? They need to be super sweet. I'm baking a banana cream pie for my mom.
George knew one sure way to find the sweetest tasting bananas. These bananas belonged under the counter, not on top.
How about the bunch behind you? Not the bananas in front of you, the ones behind. Try the bananas behind them. Thanks. This is the best service I've ever had in any store.
There's nothing an inquisitive monkey likes more than discovering new things. And the museum's a great place for discoveries. Like how different something can seem when you look at just a small part of it.
Hi, George. You're getting a close look at our dinosaur exhibit, I see. Then you'll be interested in this. This newly discovered Stegosaurus skeleton is our next exhibit.
Discovering dinosaur bones looked like the best job in the world. The museum always gave George lots to think about. Unlike Charky, who only ever thought about one thing: playing. he'd discovered a bone. That magnifying glass would have come in handy, but Charky was probably blocks away by now. George couldn't let Charky chew on it. What if some dinosaur lost this bone on its way to the museum? The Stegosaurus had all his bones. So did the Triceratops. And the Tyrannosaurus. If a dinosaur hadn't lost it, what kind of bone could it be? Luckily, there was always a box of Hunley's treats in the lobby.
Go! Oh! Good morning, George.
I'm gonna sleep 5 more minutes, okay?
No!
Yes, sorry. This here roller coaster whips and snaps you around hairpin turns at 70 miles per hour. So come on down to Zany Island and ride the Turbo Python 3000. That's Captain's orders.
Oh, well, that looks very exciting, George. Anyway, we have a lot of errands to run today. I gotta... Like I was saying, I'll get dressed so we can spend a fun day at Zany Island riding the Turbo Python 3000. Now, don't eat all that licorice at once, okay, George?
Huh?
Hi, Steve. Betsy?
Hello, George.
Hey, have you guys been on the Turbo Python 3000? We've been on 9 times already. That's the record.
Ah, is it, fun?
He screamed his head off 9 times. We're gonna ride it all day. Wanna come?
Everyone was excited about riding the Turbo Python 3000. Except the man with the yellow hat. He was afraid of roller coasters and remembered the first and last time he rode a roller coaster. It was so long ago, he was just the boy with the yellow hat. And since that day, roller coasters upset him.
Okay, I'm a grown man. I have no reason to fear a roller coaster. No! Enjoy the ride, George. Whew. I am thirsty.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, but you can't ride the Turbo Python 3000. You have to be as tall as this sign to ride. And, you're not.
Sorry, pal.
That goes for you, too, son.
Huh? Do you mind if we ride without you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I measure to the top of a head, not the top of a hat. You're gonna have to really grow before you can ride there, little fella.
George wondered exactly how much he had to grow. But when he measured with his hand, he was the same height as the sign. He must have grown already.
You're not measuring right. I wish I had a ruler or something. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the sign is 5 licorice whips tall, and you are 1, 2, 3, 4 licorice whips tall. You can come back when you're grown one more licorice whip tall. And until then, enjoy the rest of the park.
When spring is in the air, there's nothing a monkey likes more than to spring in the air. To keep his lobby orderly, Hunley always kept a close eye on George.
Come on, George.
I wish I had your energy, George.
Just watching George made Hunley tired.
Hello, Professor Wiseman.
Hi. What do you have, George? Your favorite kind of dinosaur? Oh, that's your favorite. But they're the same. Those are the bones that would be inside that. You know, same as the bones in you. Feel your arm. The hard part? That's bone. It's your skeleton.
Now that he knew he had one of those under his face, George had to see the T-Rex skull up close.
George, don't. It isn't safe. Oh. Are you okay?
George always wanted to ride in an ambulance, but he couldn't really enjoy it. At the hospital, Dr. Baker decided they needed to see George's leg bone by taking an X-ray.
Well, that's a small break. We have to put your leg in a cast. Now
this cast will keep your leg from moving while the bone heals.
Hey, that looks like George.
Hunley knew what to do when he heard that name. He got ready to defend the dignity of his lobby.
Poor little guy. Is he all right?
Oh, yeah, but he's gonna be out of action for weeks.
No jumping. No noise. Hunley wasn't so sure this was George.
Well, hello. You have a visitor, George.
It was George, all right. No one else in the building smelled like that.
Hello? Hunley come up here?
Yeah, we're in George's room.
You know, in the lobby, Hunley pays more attention to George than anyone. That's friendship. Hunley could keep George company when you go to work. I'd excuse him from his lobby duties.
George, would you like Hunley to be your monkey sitter?
George thought the country house was a great little place. But he wondered, what would it be like to have a great big place? Like a country castle.
George, look what I found. My old photo album. Oh, that boy? That's me. Anyway, this got me thinking, I haven't been to the beach in a long time. You want to go? We can build sand castles. Well, I don't know if we could build a sand castle quite that nice, but that can't stop us from trying. George? I take it this means you'd like to go to the beach.
All the way there, George worked on castle plans. He wanted it to be perfect.
George, we're here. Ah, smell that salty air. George?
George hadn't planned on having so much room to build a castle. With this kind of space, he could really think big.
George, wait up! Let me know when you find a good idea for a castle.
He wouldn't build just any old ordinary little sand castle.
George said he built his sand castle around here somewhere. Wow! Could this be George's sand castle? Hello? Anyone home? George? It's me! George, it's the greatest sandcastle any monkey ever made, anywhere!
Now he knew exactly what his castle should look like, and that he wanted it to be a surprise.
Oh, you want to build a castle like that one? Oh, you want to build a castle here, and me to build one down there? Then we surprise each other. That the idea? Okay, that sounds fun. You need a pail and shovel if you're going to build a sandcastle.
George thought he had to build the whole thing with his hands. This would be easier than he thought.
I can give you a few tips. Oh, okay. Well, I'll be behind the next dune so you can't see what I'm building.
George's castle was going to be a big surprise. Very big. First, he marked exactly where the walls would go. Then, he decided where he'd put the door. You should always know your exits in case of fire. Now came the easy part. Building it. Summer afternoon. The perfect time for a game of Find the Pigeon.
Okay, George, playtime's over. Time to clean your room. You can play with compass after you clean your room. Bath time, George. I don't think you'll fit in the bird bath, George. You're definitely a tub monkey. Okay, time to brush your teeth and hit the sack, George.
Even though being a monkey was the greatest thing ever, pigeons didn't have to do what anybody told them.
George, time to clean your room, take a bath, wash your ears, brush your teeth, go to bed, wake up, make yourself breakfast.
So the next morning, George made up his mind to live like a pigeon. It turned out that birds had special pecking equipment. Keeping up with pigeons was hard work if you didn't come with wings. Plus, pigeons didn't have to wait for the don't walk light. George had lost his flock. To be a pigeon, you had to fly. Being a cat looked like a lot less work than being a pigeon. Now, this was the life. And no one made Gnocchi clean her room. Plus, cats took a bath wherever they wanted. Whenever they wanted. A cat bath was okay. If you didn't mind a hairy mouth and a spitty face. Maybe being a cat wasn't for George either. Here were lots of animals who didn't have to clean their rooms or brush their teeth. Surely George could find one he could be. Like a chameleon. They could change color effortlessly. Monkeys couldn't. Fish never had to stop playing to take a bath. But George wasn't good enough at holding his breath to be a fish for very long. A sunny day in a garden project meant one thing to Curious George.
That ought to soften it up a bit. Have at it, George. Make the hole good and deep, George. We don't want the roots to dry out.
George was an old dirt-digging pro. But this time, he saw something he'd never noticed before. There were things living in this dirt.
Whoa, where are you going with those worms? George, we've been through this before, remember? The turtle?
George remembered the turtle all right. It happened the first time he went swimming in Lake Wanasink Lake with Bill.
Here you go, George! Can you see it? Stick your head under and look around.
George had never put his whole head in a real lake before. George went in the lake, and the lake went in George.
George, you okay? When you're underwater, you gotta hold your breath, like this. See? Now you try it. Good job. Did you see it? You city kids. You gotta open your eyes if you want to see anything. Here, use my mask. It keeps the water out of your eyes so it's easier to see down there. Boy, are you in for a surprise. It's like a zoo down there.
Bill was right. There were so many different living things, it was like a zoo. Except wet.
What'd I tell you? Great, huh? They live down there just like we live up here. Some animals breathe in water like we breathe on land. Oh, I gotta do my paper route. Keep looking, George. If you need anything, ask Mr. Quint.
turtles lived on land, just like people and monkeys. But did they know to hold their breath? George didn't, and he was pretty sure he was smarter than a turtle. George tried to teach the turtle what he'd learned, then realized it was silly. Turtles don't have thumbs. So he told it to stay out of the water for its own good. George was so busy keeping the turtle safe, he had no time to search. Why did it keep trying to go in? Suddenly, it was clear. That turtle needed a bath.
George had toys for summer and toys for snow, but there were no toys for just plain cold. There weren't even birds to watch. But even the dullest monkey day could be saved by a visit with bunnies. The hutch was empty. There must have been a big bunny breakout.
What's wrong, George? Oh, are you looking for the bunnies? Ah, don't worry. I brought them in out of the cold. I'm glad you're here. We have to go to my grandmother's. Can you do me a favor while I'm gone?
George knew Bill was going to ask him to take care of the bunnies. It's something he'd dreamed about. George would pick only videos that bunnies liked, and games they could win, and show them his best bunny picture books.
I'm taking the bunnies to stay at my grandmother's house for the rest of the winter. Well, it's too cold out, and my folks won't let me keep them in the house. Grandma has a warm place they can spend the entire winter. So, could you do me a favor and put out some nuts and seeds for that Jumpy squirrel every day? I don't want him to go hungry if the ground gets too cold and hard and he can't find food. See you later, George.
George remembered how it was not too long ago. Why did all fun things have to be taken away just because of some old season? He wasn't going to let winter ruin his winter. This little monkey was going to prove that winter couldn't stop him from doing whatever he wanted. Really cold water can change a monkey's plans just like that.
George, I'm back. I bought some of that really good hot cocoa. What are you doing? Soaking your feet in warm water because you got a chill? Well, when it's too cold to play outside, it's hot cocoa to the rescue.
The next day felt like the coldest day of the year.
Don't forget your scarf.
But George was not about to let it stop him from having fun the way he wanted to. time for fun.
George had won. He was having fun like winter had never come.